She ruined my wedding plans and labeled me as a villain. I turned her legend into my love story and gave her a front row seat. There's something about being raised in someone's shadow that no one prepares you for. It's not just envy. It's the constant feeling that no matter what you do, it will never be enough. It will never be her. And when you finally find something that is completely yours, something she cannot overshadow or claim, and she still tries to destroy it, that's when you realize that some shadows aren't protective, they're prisons. The scent of lilies always reminds me of that day. Not my wedding day, the day that should have been my wedding day. 3 weeks prior, I had chosen white lilies for the bouquet. Purity and commitment, the florist had said, smiling. What a cruel joke the universe played. Because 3 weeks later, I was sitting alone in what should have been my bridal suite, surrounded by lilies no one else would see, my white dress hanging like a ghost of a future that would never happen. And all because my cousin Diane, the perfect one, the successful one, the legend, decided I didn't deserve to be happy. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me go back. Let me tell you how the girl who always was the other Bennett became the woman who transformed destruction into triumph. Diane Bennett Hartley was 6 years older than me, and my entire life, she was the impossible standard. CEO of a tech startup at 32, featured in Forbes 30 Under 30, married to a successful surgeon, house in Beacon Hill, a life that seemed straight out of a magazine. I was a marketing manager. Good job, not extraordinary, rented apartment in Somerville, a life that was normal. And for years, that was enough. I wasn't competing. I didn't want to compete. But my family, especially my Aunt Eleanor, Diane's mother, and the unofficial matriarch of the Bennetts, never let me forget the comparison. Diane just closed a $5 million investment round, she would say at family dinners. Olivia, dear, how's your job? Still doing those social media things? Digital marketing, Aunt Eleanor. Oh, yes, that. As if it were a hobby, not a career. Diane would always smile at those times, smile and place her hand on my shoulder. Olivia is doing great at what she does. Not everyone needs to be a CEO. The world needs supportive people too. Supportive people, as if I were a side character in her story. Thought, I should have seen it then. The way she never praised me without diminishing. How every congratulations came with a but. How she needed me to be less for her to feel more. But when you're raised in that dynamic, you normalize. You think it's tough love, not subtle cruelty. Jackson Pierce entered my life in October at a networking event I almost didn't go to. He was a software engineer, worked for a cybersecurity company, and when our eyes met across the crowded room, something clicked. Not dramatic, just right. You look about as enthusiastic as I am about being here, he said, approaching with 2 glasses of wine. Thought you could use this. That obvious? You were checking your watch every 3 minutes and looking at the exit with the expression of someone plotting an escape. I laughed. Guilty. I hate networking events, but my boss insisted. Same, mine too. He extended his hand. Jackson Pierce, reluctant software engineer at social events. Olivia Bennett, marketing manager who'd rather be home with Netflix. We talked for 2 hours about work, about life, about how we were both introverts forced to be extroverts professionally. And when the event ended, he asked for my number. Not for networking, he clarified. For dinner, a real one, where we can be antisocial together. We dated for a year before he proposed. It wasn't elaborate, it was us. A walk in Boston Common on an autumn afternoon, him stopping by the pond, taking my hand. Olivia Bennett, you make me want to be social. That's true love. He smiled nervously. Marry me? I cried, said yes. And for the first time in my life, I had something that was completely mine. Not a professional achievement Diane could overshadow, not an academic accomplishment she could diminish. Just love. Real, genuine, mine. I should have known she wouldn't let me have that either. I told the family at Thanksgiving dinner. Jackson was with me, nervous but excited. I was radiant, finally having news that wouldn't be unfavorably compared to Diane. "We have an announcement," Jackson said, squeezing my hand. "Olivia and I are engaged." Silence. Brief, but noticeable. Then, my mom cheered with joy. My dad hugged Jackson, cousins applauded. But Aunt Eleanor looked at Diane, and Diane looked at me. For a second, just a second, I saw something in her eyes. Not joy, not surprise, something cold, calculating, as if she were assessing a threat. But it passed quickly, replaced by a brilliant smile. "Oh, Olivia, how wonderful!" She hugged me too tight, too long. "I'm so happy for you, so happy." But when she pulled away, she whispered in my ear, so low only I heard, "I hope you know what you're getting yourself into. Marriage isn't a fairy tale." At the time, I thought it was cynical advice from someone in a marriage that wasn't as perfect as it seemed. Now I know it was a warning, or a threat. Wedding planning began in December. We set the date for late March, a spring wedding, small but elegant, only 80 guests. I was excited in a way I had never been about anything. Diane immediately offered help. "I planned my wedding myself. I know all the tricks. Let me help you, cousin." "Thanks, but Madison is helping me. She's great at it." "Madison?" Diane wrinkled her nose. "Your investigator friend? Olivia, she has no experience with high-level events. You'll want this to be perfect. Let me at least review your plans." "It's not a high-level event. It's a small wedding." "Exactly. Small means every detail matters more." She smiled, but there was something sharp in that smile. "Trust me, you'll want my help." I refused, politely but firmly, and I saw something flicker in her eyes again. That coldness, that calculation. Reflection. Diane was used to being needed, to being the expert, the savior, the one everyone turned to. And I had refused. Not dramatically, not rudely. I just didn't need her. And for someone whose entire identity was built on being indispensable, that was unacceptable. The first concerns started in January. Subtle, almost imperceptible. "Olivia, dear," Aunt Eleanor called me. "Diane mentioned you seem stressed with the planning. She's worried about you." "I'm fine, just busy with work and wedding." "She said you've been canceling lunches with her, that you're avoiding family." "I'm not avoiding, I'm just busy." "Marriage shouldn't make you avoid family, dear. That's concerning. Diane thinks maybe you're having doubts." "I'm not having doubts, I'm just—" Of course. Just maybe you should talk to someone, a therapist perhaps. Diane has a great recommendation." I hung up confused and frustrated. I wasn't avoiding family. I was just living my life. But somehow, Diane had planted a seed that I was different, stressed, having doubts. Then came the messages, strange messages, from numbers I didn't recognize. "Are you sure about Jackson? Do you really know him? Ask him about Atlanta, about what he did there. He's not who you think. Protect yourself." I showed them to Jackson. He was as confused as I was. "Atlanta? I went to a conference there last year for 3 days, worked, had dinner with colleagues, came back. There's no secret." Someone's trying to plant doubts. But who? And why? We didn't have an answer. Not yet. 3 weeks before the wedding, everything exploded. I was at work when I received a call from Jackson. His voice was strange, controlled, cold. "We need to talk, tonight, my apartment." "What happened?" "Tonight, Olivia. Just come." I went, heart pounding. When I arrived, he was sitting at the dining table, laptop open, an expression I had never seen, a mix of anger, hurt, confusion. "What's this?" He turned the laptop towards me. On the screen, photos. Photos of me. with a man I didn't recognize, in a restaurant, laughing, his hand covering mine. In another photo, leaving a hotel together. My blood ran cold. That's not me. It looks like you. Jackson, I swear, that's not me. I would never. The photos are dated December, January, while we were planning our wedding. His voice broke. Olivia, if you're having doubts, if there's someone else, just tell me. Don't make me marry you without knowing the truth. There is no one else. I was crying now. Jackson, these photos are fake, or they're of someone else. I would never, ever betray you. Then explain it. Explain how these photos exist, how someone got photos of you with another man if it's not you. I don't know, but it's not me. It has to be Photoshop, or there's video too. He clicked on a file. Grainy video from a security camera showing a woman who looked like me entering a hotel with a man. The quality was poor, but the resemblance was unsettling. Thought. Later, I found out Diane had hired an actress, someone my height, my hair color. She wore a wig similar to my cut, filmed from angles that obscured her face but suggested identity, and then leaked it to Jackson through a concerned anonymous source. It was elaborate, expensive, cruel, and completely effective. Jackson, please believe me. Someone is trying to tear us apart. Who? Who would do this? I don't know, but that's not me in those photos. He looked at me for a long moment. I need time to think, to process. Don't do this. Please, don't push me away now. Olivia, I need to. Just go home. We'll talk when I'm calmer. I left that apartment destroyed. And when I got home, there was a message from Aunt Eleanor. Family dinner tomorrow. Urgent. Diane has something important to discuss about the wedding. Everyone must be present. And that's when I knew. I knew that whatever was happening, Diane was behind it. And it was about to get worse. If you're enjoying this story, like it and subscribe to the channel. Share in the comments if you've ever had a family member sabotage your happiness. The family dinner was set for Aunt Eleanor's house in Newton, the large, imposing house where all important Bennett events took place, where reputations were made or destroyed, where Diane always shined. I arrived with Jackson, who was distant, cold. He had agreed to come, but barely spoke to me on the way. His hands on the steering wheel were tense, jaw clenched. "Are you going to listen to me tonight?" I asked as we stopped at the entrance. "Whatever Diane is going to say, will you give me a chance to respond?" "Diane? Why do you think it's about Diane?" "Because it always is." The words came out more bitter than I intended. He looked at me, and there was something in his eyes. Doubt, not about the photos, but about me, about who I was. "You're being paranoid. I'm being realistic." We entered together, but apart. And the first person I saw was Diane, radiant in a navy blue dress, smiling like a host instead of a guest. "Olivia, Jackson, so glad you came." She hugged us, but when she pulled away from me, she whispered, "I'm sorry for what's about to happen, but it's for your own good." My stomach sank. The entire family was there. My parents, Aunt Eleanor, Uncle Richard, cousins, even Grandma Bennett at 84. All sitting in the formal living room, waiting, like a courtroom. "Thank you all for coming," Diane began, standing up. "I know it's last minute, but there's something that needs to be discussed about Olivia's wedding." My mom frowned. "Diane, what's going on?" "Mom, it's about Olivia and Jackson and truths that have come to light." Diane looked at me, and there were tears in her eyes. Fake tears, I realized, performative. "Olivia, I didn't want to do this. You're my cousin. I love you. But I can't stay silent when I see someone I love making a terrible mistake." "Diane, what are you talking about?" My dad was standing now. "Jackson received photos yesterday. Photos of Olivia with another man. In compromising situations." She paused, letting the words hang. "And before you say they're fake, I investigated. I hired a private investigator. The photos are real. The encounters happened. And there's more. That's a lie. I stood up, hands trembling. Diane, you know it's a lie. Olivia, I understand you're defensive. I'm not defensive. I'm being falsely accused. Let her finish, Aunt Eleanor said, her voice cold. Diane wouldn't lie about something like this. Reflection. And there it was, the automatic assumption. Diane wouldn't lie. Diane was trustworthy. Diane was the good one. Me? I was the one who needed to prove innocent. Guilty until proven innocent. Because Diane said it was so. There's more, Diane continued, her voice soft but devastating. Olivia has been unstable, canceling appointments, avoiding family, receiving strange messages. I was worried, so I investigated further. She pulled out a folder, a real folder, like evidence in a trial. I found records of therapy sessions, prescriptions for anxiety, and she hesitated, as if reluctant. Records that Olivia was fired from a previous job for erratic behavior, something she never told Jackson. I was not fired. I was screaming now. I quit, and therapy isn't a crime. Half the people in this room are in therapy. But you hid it from Jackson, Diane said softly. Why? What else are you hiding? Jackson was pale. You were in therapy? Yes, 2 years ago, after my best friend died in a car accident. Is that a problem? You never told me. Because it was 2 years ago, before I met you. And it's not a secret, just it wasn't relevant. But you see, Diane said, looking at the family, there's a pattern. Secrets, lies, erratic behavior, and now betrayal. There's no betrayal. Those photos are fake. Then explain this. Diane placed her laptop on the coffee table, opened a video. The same video Jackson had shown me, but now projected for the entire family to see. A woman who looked like me, a man, a hotel. My grandmother gasped. My mother started crying. My father looked like he was going to throw up. That's not me, I said, my voice breaking. It's not me. Who else would it be? Aunt Eleanor asked, her voice like ice. Diane is right. You're not ready for marriage. You need help. I don't need help. I need you to believe me. How can we? Diane asked, and there was something in her eyes now. Triumph, satisfaction. Olivia, look at the evidence. Look at your behavior. You're not well. And marrying like this, it would be a mistake. For you and for Jackson. Jackson was looking at me as if I were a stranger. Do you have any proof that these photos are fake? No, because they just appeared. I haven't had time. Then how do I know you're telling the truth? Because you know me. Jackson, you know me. I thought I did. But now I don't know anymore. Jackson, please. I need time, space, to think. He looked at Diane. Thank you for showing me this, for being honest. And he left. He simply left, leaving me there, surrounded by family who looked at me with a mix of pity and judgment. Olivia, my mom said, coming over to me. Dear, if you're going through something, we can help, but you need to be honest. I am being honest. Tears were streaming now. Mom, do you really think I would betray Jackson? That I would lie to you? I don't know what to think, she admitted. The evidence? They're fabricated by her. I pointed at Diane. She did this. She sabotaged everything. Olivia, that's ridiculous, Aunt Eleanor said. Why would Diane do that? Because she can't stand for me to be happy. Because for the first time, I have something she can't overshadow? You're being paranoid. I am not. She always did this, always diminished me, always made me feel less, and now that I finally have something of my own, she's destroying it. Diane was crying now, truly crying, or at least appearing to. Olivia, I'm sorry you think that of me. I was just trying to protect Jackson, to protect you. But if you prefer to believe in conspiracy theories rather than accept you need help, maybe, my dad said hesitantly, we should postpone the wedding. Just until things calm down, until we can understand what's happening. There's nothing to understand. Diane is lying. But no one was listening. Everyone was looking at Diane, who was being consoled by Aunt Eleanor, who was crying about how hard it was to do the right thing. And that's when I realized. I realized that no matter what I said, no matter how many times I denied it, Diane had built a narrative so perfect, with so much evidence, that my word against hers stood no chance. She had labeled me as a villain, and in a family that had always idolized her, I had no way to win. Jackson canceled the wedding 2 days later. Not in person, by text message. I cannot marry someone I don't trust. I need you to know it's not just about the photos. It's about a pattern, secrets, lies. Diane was right. You need help. I hope you find it, but I cannot be a part of this. I sat on the floor of my apartment, my wedding dress still hanging in the closet, lilies wilting in a vase on the table, and cried. I cried for hours, until I had no more tears. And then Madison arrived. She had a key, and when she found me on the floor, surrounded by wedding fabrics and broken dreams, she didn't say anything. She just sat beside me. She won, I whispered. Diane won. Not yet, Madison said, her voice firm. Olivia, look at me. I looked. I'm a private investigator. It's literally my job to find the truth, and I'm going to find out what Diane did. I'm going to find proof, and we're going to destroy her. How? She's perfect. Everyone believes her. No one is perfect. And people who do things like this always leave a trail. Madison took my hand. But I need you to be strong. I need you to trust me. And I need you not to confront Diane. Not yet. Let her think she won. She won. No, she only thinks she won. But Olivia, when we discover the truth, when we prove what she did, you won't just get Jackson back. You'll get your life back, your reputation, and you'll make her pay. Thought. In that moment, I didn't believe Madison. How do you believe in justice when everyone has labeled you a villain? How do you believe you can win when the legend always wins? But Madison had something I didn't. Distance, objectivity, and the cold, calculated anger of someone who saw a friend destroyed and swore revenge. If you're following this story, like it and subscribe to the channel. In the comments, have you ever been blamed for something you didn't do? How did you handle it? Madison worked like a woman possessed. While I tried to piece my life back together, canceling the wedding, returning gifts, facing looks of pity and judgment at work, she investigated. First, she said, a week after the cancellation, the photos. I hired a digital forensic expert. The photos were manipulated. Not completely fake. There's a real woman, but it's not you. How do we prove it? Metadata. The photos were taken with a professional camera, not a cell phone, and they were edited in specific software. Software that, interestingly, Diane has a registered license for. That doesn't prove it was her. No, but it's a start. Madison pulled out her laptop. Now, the woman in the photos. I did a reverse facial recognition search. Found her, a theater actress in Cambridge, Emily Richardson. She showed me a photo. The resemblance was unsettling. Same height, same hair color, same face shape from certain angles. I contacted her, pretending to be from a talent agency. She mentioned an interesting freelance gig she did in December, paid well. An anonymous client hired her for an artistic project, asked her to wear a specific wig, specific clothes, and pose with an actor in various locations. Diane. Yes, but Emily doesn't know who hired her. Payment was made through an LLC. I'm tracing it. And the video? Also Emily, filmed at a hotel in Cambridge. The reservation was made by, guess who? Diane. Not directly, but through her assistant. I have the emails. Madison smiled, and there was something predatory in that smile. Olivia, she was careful, but not careful enough. There's a trail, and I'm following it. It took 6 weeks. 6 weeks of Madison investigating, of me living in limbo, of family avoiding me, of Jackson not answering messages. 6 weeks of Diane posting on Instagram about making difficult choices for people we love, and sometimes love means telling hard truths. 6 weeks of me being the villain. But then Madison found it. Emails, she said, bursting into my apartment at 11 at night, laptop in hand, eyes shining. Olivia, I found the emails. She opened her laptop. An email account I didn't recognize, but the IP address traced back to Diane's office. Emails to Emily Richardson, negotiating payment. Emails to a freelance photographer, asking for photos that look authentic but aren't. Emails to a private investigator, not the one Diane said she hired to investigate my alleged betrayals, but a different one, hired months earlier to find compromising information about Olivia Bennett. And the most devastating, an email to Aunt Eleanor. Mom, I know this will be hard to hear, but Olivia isn't well. She's hiding things, and Jackson deserves to know the truth before he makes a mistake. Trust me. I know what I'm doing. This is for her own good. Aunt Eleanor's reply, "You've always known what's best, dear. Do what you need to do. Olivia has always been complicated. Perhaps this is the wake-up call she needs." Tears burned my eyes, not from sadness, from anger, pure, incandescent rage. "She planned everything," I whispered, "for months. She planned to destroy my wedding." "Yes, and there's more." Madison opened another file. "I found her therapist. Ex-therapist. She stopped going 6 months ago, but I managed to get notes through means. Olivia, Diane has a history. This isn't the first time." "What?" "She did this before, with her brother's ex-girlfriend, 10 years ago. Same thing. Planted doubts, created evidence, destroyed the relationship. And then she was the hero who saved her brother from a terrible mistake. Why does she do that?" According to the therapist, narcissistic personality disorder with sociopathic traits. She needs to be the center, needs to be the savior, and when someone in her orbit threatens to overshadow her, even if it's a cousin having a simple wedding, she destroys. Reflection. This explained everything. Years of subtle diminutions, of advice that was really criticism, of concern that was really control. Diane wasn't just competitive. She was pathologically incapable of letting anyone in her family have happiness that didn't go through her first. And I, finally having something completely mine, had become a threat. "What do we do now?" I asked. Now we gather everything, organize it, and confront. But not Diane first. Madison looked at me. First, Jackson. He deserves to see the truth. And then we make Diane pay. Jackson agreed to meet me. Reluctantly, but he agreed. A neutral coffee shop in Back Bay. Public territory. He looked terrible. Dark circles under his eyes, unshaven, wrinkled clothes, like someone who hadn't been sleeping. "Thank you for coming," I said, sitting down. "Olivia, if this is to try to convince me again, it's not. It's to show you the truth, the real truth, not Diane's version." I placed my laptop on the table. "Jackson, just look, please." I showed him everything. Emails, payment records, Emily Richardson's confession, Madison had gotten her to record a statement, forensic analysis of the photos, Diane's history. I watched him process it, saw anger, shock, disgust cross his face. "My God," he finally said, She did all of this?" "Yes." "But why? What does she gain?" "Control, validation, being the hero who saved me from a bad marriage." I took a deep breath. "Jackson, Diane can't stand for me to be happy without her being at the center. And our wedding, it was mine, completely mine. She couldn't have that." He was silent for a long time. "I should have believed you." "Yes, you should have. The evidence was so convincing. And you knew me for a year. You knew who I was. And yet you chose to believe her instead of me." "I know, and I'll regret that for the rest of my life. He looked at me, tears in his eyes. Olivia, I'm so sorry. So sorry. I failed you. When you needed me most, I abandoned you. Yes, you did. Is there any way to fix this? I looked at him, this man I loved, who abandoned me, who was now broken by guilt and regret. Part of me wanted to say no, wanted to make him suffer as I had suffered. But a bigger part? Maybe, I said, but not now. First, we deal with Diane. Then we'll see if there's anything to fix. Fair, more than fair. He hesitated. What do you want to do about Diane? I want justice. Not revenge, justice. I want her to face consequences, for the family to know the truth, for her to not be able to do this again. How? A confrontation, public, with evidence, in front of everyone. I smiled, and there was something sharp in that smile. And Jackson, I want you to be there. I want you to witness when the legend falls. If you're following this journey for justice, like and subscribe to the channel. In the comments, do you believe in second chances after a breach of trust? The fall of the legend. The confrontation was meticulously planned. We weren't just going to accuse Diane, we were going to destroy her narrative with irrefutable evidence, and we were going to do it in front of everyone who mattered. Madison suggested a family dinner. Same setting where she destroyed you. Poetic justice. I convinced my mom to organize it. I need to talk to the family about everything. Please, Mom, one chance. She agreed, reluctantly. But Olivia, if this is to cause drama, it's not drama. It's the truth. Finally. The dinner was set for Saturday. Same house, same people. But this time, I was prepared. Diane arrived radiant, as always. She saw me, and her smile faltered for a second before she recomposed herself. Olivia, what a surprise. I didn't know you were coming. Wouldn't miss it for anything. I smiled back and saw confusion in her eyes. I should have been broken, defeated, not confident. Jackson arrived minutes later. Diane saw him, and her face lit up. Jackson, so good to see you. How are you? Well, Diane, very well, in fact. He stood by my side, deliberately, publicly. Something changed in Diane's expression. Alert, calculation. When everyone was seated, I stood up. My hands were trembling, but my voice was firm. Thank you all for coming. I know the last few months have been difficult, and I know many of you have questions about what happened, about why my wedding was canceled, about who I really am. Olivia, Aunt Eleanor began, we don't need to relive. We do, because you all deserve to know the truth, the real truth, not the version Diane presented. Diane turned pale. Olivia, what are you doing? I'm telling the truth. I opened my laptop. You saw photos. You saw evidence that I was having an affair. You saw a video of a woman who looked like me at a hotel. And you believed it, because Diane said it was true. Because Diane is trustworthy. Diane is a legend. Olivia, please. Diane was standing now. But those photos, they were fake. Not me. A hired actress, Emily Richardson. I showed a photo of Emily. Same height, same hair color, but not me. Murmurs throughout the room. And who hired Emily? I turned the laptop to show the emails. Diane. Through an LLC. Traceable payment. Date, 3 months before my wedding. That's ridiculous, Diane began. There's more. A freelance photographer, hired to create authentic photos. By whom? Diane. More emails. A private investigator, hired not to investigate my alleged betrayals, but to find compromising information. By whom? Diane. Silence. Absolute, devastating. And the best part? I looked at Aunt Eleanor. An email from Diane to you, Aunt Eleanor, months before the wedding. Planning, orchestrating, deciding I didn't deserve to be happy. I showed her the email. I watched Aunt Eleanor read it. I watched the color drain from her face. Diane, she whispered, tell me this isn't real. Mom, I can explain. Explain. My dad was standing now, furious. Explain how you destroyed your cousin. Explain how you lied to all of us. Explain how you are so cruel. I'm not cruel. I was protecting. Protecting who? Jackson was standing too. Olivia? You weren't protecting her. You were destroying her. Why? Because she was happy? Because for the first time she had something that wasn't about you? Diane was crying now, but not performative tears this time. Real tears. Ugly. Desperate. You don't understand. You never understood. Olivia was always the good one, the kind one, the one everyone loved without her having to do anything. And me? I had to work, had to be perfect, had to be a legend. Because if I wasn't extraordinary, I was nothing. Thought. And there it was. The truth behind the cruelty. Diane didn't hate me. She envied my normalcy, my ability to be loved without performance. And that envy had transformed into something toxic, something destructive. So you destroyed my life because you were jealous? My voice was calm, too calm. Diane, you have everything. Career, marriage, success. And yet it wasn't enough. You needed me to have nothing. I didn't want to hurt you. You wanted exactly that. And you did it. Systematically, cruelly, for months. I closed my laptop. But you know what's funny? You didn't destroy me. You made me stronger. Because now I know who you really are. And I'm never going to let you make me feel less again. Olivia, please. No, it's over. You're done. With lies, with manipulation, with being a legend at the expense of other people. Aunt Eleanor was crying now. Diane, how could you? She's your cousin, your family. I know, and I'm so sorry. I didn't know how to stop. I was so deep in the lies. That you decided to double down, Madison said, entering the room. She had been waiting. Because that's what narcissists do. They don't stop. They escalate. Who are you? Diane demanded. Madison Torres, private investigator, and the person who gathered every piece of evidence that destroyed your lies, Madison smiled. And Diane, there's more. I found your ex-therapist. I found a history. You did this before, with your brother's ex-girlfriend. Same pattern, same cruelty. That was different. It was exactly the same. You can't stand it when someone in your family has happiness that doesn't go through you first. So you destroy, and you call it love, protection, doing what's best. Diane collapsed, literally collapsed, falling into the chair, sobbing. I need help, I know I do, but I don't know how to stop being this. Then seek help, I said. Real, professional, not for us, for you. Because Diane, you may have success, you may have a career, but if you don't stop destroying people, you'll end up alone. Diane collapsed, literally collapsed, falling into the chair, sobbing. I need help, I know I do, but I don't know how to stop being this. Then seek help, I said. Real, professional, not for us, for you. Because Diane, you may have success, you may have a career, but if you don't stop destroying people, you'll end up alone. If you're following this story, like it and subscribe to the channel. In the comments, do you think Diane deserves forgiveness? Diane entered treatment a week later. Real, intensive treatment. Not because the family forced her, but because she finally saw what she had become. We didn't reconcile, not immediately. Some wounds take time, but she sent a letter. Olivia, I don't expect forgiveness, but I hope you know I'm doing the work. Therapy, medication, understanding why I destroy people I love. And one day, perhaps, I can be a person who deserves to be your cousin. But until then, I'm so sorry for everything. I kept the letter. I didn't respond, but I kept it. Jackson and I didn't get back together immediately. It took time. Months of conversations, of couples therapy, of rebuilding trust that had been broken. I failed you, he said in a session. When you needed me most, I believed her instead of you. Yes, you failed. How do I fix it? You don't fix it. You build something new, something stronger, based on real trust, not just assumption. And that's what we did. Slowly, deliberately, we built a new relationship, one where he knew me deeply, where I trusted completely, where we were both partners, not just lovers. 6 months after the confrontation, he proposed to me again. Not dramatic, just us, in our apartment, we were living together now, him taking my hand. Olivia Bennett, I failed you once. I will never fail you again. Marry me? For real this time? I cried, said yes, and this time we planned a wedding that was completely ours. No interference, no drama, just love. The wedding was in September, a year after it was supposed to be. Small, only 60 people, the ones who truly mattered. A garden in Cape Cod, an autumn afternoon, white lilies. I reclaimed them too. And yes, Diane was there, in the front row. Not because I completely forgave her, but because I had grown, because I understood that she wasn't a pure villain. She was a broken person who made terrible choices. And because making her watch wasn't cruelty, it was a demonstration. A demonstration that she didn't destroy me, that I didn't just survive, I prospered. As I walked down the aisle, I saw her, crying, not fake tears, real ones. And when our eyes met, she nodded, small, sad, but genuine. And I nodded back, because forgiveness isn't forgetting, it's letting go. The vows were simple, real. Jackson, I said, you saw me at my worst, when I was broken, accused, alone. And you made a mistake. You left, but you came back. You fought. You proved that love isn't never failing, it's getting back up when you fail. And I choose you, every day, not despite the mistakes, but because of how you fix them. Olivia, he said, his voice breaking, you taught me that strength isn't never falling, it's getting back up. You were destroyed by someone who should have loved you, and you didn't just survive, you won, with grace, with dignity, with strength I didn't know existed. And I promise, never to doubt you again, never to let you face a storm alone again, because you are my partner, my equal, my heroine. There wasn't a dry eye, including Diane's. At the reception, Diane approached. Scared? Olivia, I thank you for letting me be here, for not completely excluding me. I didn't do it for you, I said, honest. I did it for me, because excluding you would be letting you have power over me, and you don't anymore. I know, and I'm grateful, and you look beautiful, happy, and I'm genuinely happy for you. Are you still in treatment? Yes, a year now. And Olivia, I'm learning about why I did what I did, about how to be a person who doesn't destroy others. Good. Keep doing the work. I will. And one day, maybe we can rebuild. Not what we were, but something new. Maybe, I agreed, but not today. Today is about me, about Jackson, about us. I understand. She hesitated. You transformed my attempt to destroy you into this, into triumph. How? Because I realized something, you tried to make me the villain of your story. But I'm not a character in your narrative. I'm the heroine of mine. And in my story, I win. 2 years later, Diane and I have a relationship. Not close, but real. She's still in therapy, still working on herself. And there are days where I see shadows of the person she was, but I also see growth. You saved me, she said once at a rare lunch together. I didn't save you. You saved yourself. I just refused to be destroyed. Even so, if you hadn't confronted, if you hadn't exposed, I would have continued, destroying people, destroying myself. Then use it. Use it as a lesson. Be better. I'm trying. I know, and I'm proud of you. Not for what you were, but for what you're becoming. Jackson and I have a baby now, a girl, Grace. And when I look at her, I think about legacies, about stories we tell. Diane was a legend, but legends are performative. They are masks. They are personas that hide real people. I'm not a legend. I'm just Olivia. Imperfect, real, but strong. And my story, my real story, is about surviving an attempt at destruction and transforming it into triumph. It's about taking a narrative someone tried to write about you and rewriting it on your terms. It's about giving the one who tried to destroy you a front row seat and making them watch you flourish. Because in the end, the best revenge isn't destroying the one who hurt you. It's living so well, so completely, so magnificently that they have no choice but to witness it. And that's justice. This story shows us something powerful about family, betrayal, and redemption. Not every legend is a hero. Sometimes the most admired people are the most broken. And sometimes the person labeled as a villain is actually the hero no one saw. Diane wasn't a pure villain. She was a deeply insecure person whose need for validation transformed into cruelty. But she also showed that change is possible when you do the real work. Olivia learned that strength isn't never being knocked down. It's getting back up. It's transforming destruction into growth. It's refusing to let someone else's narrative define you. And Jackson learned that trust isn't automatic. It's built. And when broken, it requires real work to rebuild. The lessons are clear. 1. Question legends. People who seem perfect often hide deep imperfections. 2. Your narrative is yours. Don't let anyone rewrite it. 3. Revenge doesn't have to be destructive. Sometimes it's simply living well. 4. Forgiveness is a process. You have no obligation to forgive immediately or ever. 5. Family that destroys you doesn't deserve blind loyalty. Set boundaries, protect yourself. If someone tried to destroy your happiness, don't let them. Fight, gather evidence, tell the truth, and then live magnificently. If you are Diane, seek help, real professional help, before you destroy more people. And if you are the family, don't idolize, don't assume. Listen to all sides before judging. Have you ever been labeled a villain when you were a victim? How did you reclaim your narrative? Share in the comments. If this story touched you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Let us know in the comments which story you'd like to hear next. Remember, you are not a character in someone else's story. You are the heroine of yours, and in your story, you decide the ending. Turn attempts at destruction into fuel for growth. And when you win, and you will win, make sure the one who tried to tear you down has a front row seat. Because the best revenge is living well, and the best justice is making them witness it.